ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनचक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Okay, so devotees, welcome back. We are looking at 17th chapter Bhagavad Gita, the second part of it. Very, very interesting commentary by Sripad Ramanujacharya here. Much different than what perhaps anybody has given, but still very much in line with the text. And especially when we reach the 18th chapter and the crescendo 18.66, we will be able to see all these things in connection with that. So as usual, we will begin with the verse by Sripad Yamunacharya where he summarizes the 17th chapter. Look at that. Ashastram asuram kritsnam shastriyam gunata pratak lakshanam shastra siddhasya trida saptadashoditam. So Sripad Yamunacharya has given a summary verse for every chapter. Very, very brilliant summary. In fact, it's if you think very deeply about the Sanskrit composition, it's just beautiful. Gita-artha Sangrah. So see what he has done. He has said in 17th chapter, what are the topics? There are 3 topics, he says. Asastram, ashastram, asuram, kritsnam. All activities that are not instructed in the Vedas are for asuras and are fruitless. It means one cannot do anything which is not said in the Vedas. That is the first topic. Second topic is those activities that are commanded by the Vedas are of 3 types, based on Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamoguna. And activities, and that is the second topic. And the third topic, this is very interesting. This is very unique in this commentary. You will see this in today's discussion. Activities that are enjoined in the Vedas have the identifying markers of Om Tat Sat. Okay, so 3 topics he has said. One is, this we discussed last time, because Arjuna starts the 17th chapter by asking if somebody does things not in Shastra, then what does he get? So Krishna has answered in 17.5 and 17.6, he gets nothing. It's just fruitless. That is the first thing. Second thing is, whatever is in the Shastra is divided into 3 modes. So please note, the way Ramanuja and Yamunacharya have explained 17th chapter is 3 modes is applicable to those in Shastric boundary. Right? Like for example, food in 3 modes. Generally, we may show meat, etc. in Tamoguna. But the way they describe is, if that meat, if that whatever is in Shastra, right? Like there are Shastric ceremonies, right? It may be in Tamoguna, but there are Shastric ceremonies where there is some offering of some animal to some goddess, etc. Then that food can become Tamoguna if you wish to, you can say that. But the meat you buy from the open market, that is not Tamoguna also. As in, one may say then which guna it is, because everything should be in 3 gunas. Yes, it is in such a tamo, it is basically going to give only hellish consequence. It's tamas only, but it is completely hellish consequence. But the tamoguna that they describe here, sattvagun, rajogun, tamogun, that has something, right? They get some follow out of it. It may be very small. The Shastriya tamoguna. Just like, for example, there are people who do various penances to destroy somebody. So such things are there in Shastra. You can do some sacrifice to, to destroy someone, etc. It is tamasic. Like we have all these examples, like Bhasmasur is there. He did all that whole tapasya in order to get a Shakti where whosoever head he will touch, it will just burst. So that is tamasic. Yes, but that is Shastriya. Okay, so please try to get this point. That is Shastriya tamasic. Okay. So the way he describes is, if something is ashastra, then it is just complete darkness leading only to hell, he says. Only hellish naraka. Naraka is the only consequence of something not in Shastra. But if something is in Shastra, it can be of 3 modes. So this is how it is. So everything, food, penances, charity, everything is described as 3 modes. So when when we read all these stories in the Puranas, right, about Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, all these people, they also did penances, all these tapasya, etc. But they did it with a tamasa goal, right? Because they wanted to destroy, etc. Okay. But they got a fruit. See, try to understand. These people who obeyed Shastra, even in the tamasa, they got something, not that they didn't get anything. It may have been very small compared to Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, or it may have been ultimately, it may have caused destruction. All that is accepted, but at least they got something. Okay. If something is not in Shastra, then it is only hell. So this is a very unique way in which the entire 17th chapter has been discussed. And I think it falls in line with our scriptural understanding in general, where Tamoguna has been described in so many places. And even now, like in Kerala and all, I know of various tantrics who do, some yajna, etc., to destroy someone or to put somebody down, etc. That is Shastriya. It is there in Shastra. Such things are mentioned. Okay, because Shastra gives everything in the three modes. But so those things are tamasic. Not that someone is just drinking alcohol and smoking cigarette in a pub. That is not in this chapter part of Tamoguda, because that activity is going to give you only hell. Okay, whereas the other tamasic things that the Shastra talks about, it will give you some meager fruit and ultimately it will give you a lot of suffering. But the non-Shastriya activity is not like that. It doesn't give the meager fruit also. It's only holistic. So they make a distinction between Shastriya Tamoguna and Ashastriya Karma. Okay, so this is a very, very interesting way of distinguishing which Sripad Yamunacharya and Ramanacharya have done in their commentary to the 17th chapter. And then things fall in place as well. So anyway, last time we have already seen the first 10 verses. So we are just moving to the 11th verse today, and then we will continue from that point. Right, so 10 we have already seen. Yeah, so food, till food in three modes we saw. Right, so now we are coming to the 11th onward. So here yajna is divided into three categories. Afala kankshibir yajno vidhi drishto ya ijjate yashthavyameveti manah samadaya sa satvikaha. Okay, so yajna is described into three modes, and then tapasya is divided into three modes. So what is yajna in the mode of goodness? First question. That yajna which is performed without expecting anything else other than the delectation of Bhagavan. Afala kankshibhi. That means delectation as in pleasing Bhagavan. Okay, that means no material fruit. Okay, that which is conforming to the stipulations laid out in the Shastra governing the hymns, materials, procedure, etc. With that conviction, with the conviction that performance of this yajna is worship of Bhagavan and adoring him through the yajna is the fruit of its performance, such a yajna is characterized by Sattva-guna. Very beautiful translation given here. Okay, so please try to understand Sattva-guna yajna. Okay, that means three characteristics. Afala, no material fruit expected, only pleasure of Bhagavan. The second thing is vidhi. See, now vidhi he has translated in a very unique way. Vidhi generally means like order, instruction. Okay, so what he has done is, Ramanujari has said, vidhi here means conforming to the stipulations in the Shastra governing the hymns, materials, procedure. Okay, so that means the mantra, dravya, kriya, everything should be as per procedure. That means one cannot just, even if it is Shastra, you cannot just take anything and start doing anytime. Like he gives an example, like let's say there is Ashwamedha Yajna in the Shastra. But Ashwamedha Yajna is set for a Brahmana, for a Kshatriya, sorry. Not that tomorrow a Vaishya comes and says, okay, I will do Ashwamedha Yajna. It's not for you, man. It's that Vidhi is not for you only. Why are you entering that domain? So that is how he defines this Vidhi. That means everything in Shastra, it is told in which circumstances, who is supposed to do it and so on. One cannot simply whimsically take anything from the Shastra and start doing it, right? Materials, what ahuti should be done, everything is given. One get the procedure also. One cannot do any shortcuts, etc. One has to do the entire thing. We will come to that. So this is the second characteristic of Sattva-guna. Third thing is Yashthavyam eva iti. That means this is worship of Bhagavan, and that's all we are doing. So we are very clear that whatever we are doing, this we are doing it for pleasing him. So in this mood, he says one can do any yajna. So, they say that even you can do a yajna which is like a Vaishnava, he says, if he has this mood, he can do any yajna. He can do, suppose he's a king, he can do an Ashwamedha yajna. Okay, he's doing it just to please Bhagavan, just like we see Maharaj Yudhishthir, right? He did 3 Ashwamedha yajnas and so on. So he did that in this mood only. Everything was done for the pleasure of him. conforming to the Shastra, and that pleasing him is the goal of everything. So in this mood, if you do, then your yajna is sattvika. Okay, so now if we contrast it with Rajasa and Tamasa, and then we will discuss the examples, we will get that better. Look at this. Abhisandaya tu phalam dambhartam api chaiva yat ijyate bharata shreshta tam yagyam vidhi rajasam. Hey Arjuna, the best among descendants of Bharata, that yajna which is performed with a view to attaining the fruit stated in the Shastram for performing that yajna, and which is performed to create an image of oneself being very righteous, dharmic. Understand such yajnas as rajasic in character. Just two things he has given, two symptoms to understand if our yajna is rajasa. First is abhisandaya, that means we are behind the fruits. And second thing is we want praise. Dhamba artham, we want praise. We want to show off that I am a very big person. Okay, so if either of these things are there, so he says it is either or, it's not both should be there. Even if one of these two are there, let's say someone is not doing it for the fruits, but has a damba, wants to show that he's a very righteous, dharmic person, then also it becomes rajasic. So neither of these characteristics must be there. Then only it is rajasic. Right? Now for tamasic, there is a lot of purport. We'll go to that. Viddihinam Viddihinam asrishtannam mantrahinam adakshinam Shraddha Virahitam Yajnam Tamasam Parichakshate. That yajna which is started without taking permission from pious men, which is performed with materials not sanctioned by Shastra, bereft of appropriate mantras, without giving due fee to the officiating priest, performed without earnestness, such a yajna is said to be tamasic in nature. Okay, now what he has done over here is he has described, the tamasic yajna, and some of these characteristics are very, very interesting. When contemporary times we can appreciate this. For example, mantrahinam. Mantrahinam doesn't mean without mantra. So how he translates it is without appropriate mantra, because he says without mantra, so you cannot do any yajna only. Then it will become ashastram. And already he had said in 17.5, something is ashastram, that is out of the purview. We are not even going to talk about it. That is direct hell. Okay, but mantrahinam is without proper mantra. So he says, so in contemporary times, sometimes in marriages and all we see, people, especially in North India or places like that, it is more noticeable that the groom will give some extra money to the priest and tell him that Panditji thoda jaldi karo. And these things are seen very positively by people. As in they just joke about it. That okay, let's cut short the whole thing. So this is tamasa. Mantrahina, without proper mantras. Then vidhihinam, see vidhi again can have many translations. Vidhi can be without the process, but he says no, process has to be followed. But he says vidhi means, he says vidhihinam. So Ramanuja asked the question, can vidhihinam mean something not told in Shastra? Okay, can we say that? Because so he says no, we cannot do that because not told in Shastra means it cannot even be characterized here. So he says vidhi means to take anujna from elders. Okay, that means one has to go to elders and take permission before one does anything, whatever that yajna may be. Even for Garbhadan Samskar, which is a yajna, it is said that one should take permission from one's parents and elders at home. They are actually the people to give permission. Because they are in our kula, they will give blessing that please have righteous children. So anything we do, any yajna we do, it has to have some permission from elders. But that's why we see, for example, like we see in the, if anybody does any yajna without permission, that is considered tamasic, destructive in nature. Like in Ramayana also we see, right, that Shambhuka, he started a yajna without anybody's sanction, permission. He just wanted to go to the heaven and conquer Indra. So he started something. So this kind of thing is not acceptable. So one has to start anything with permission. So that is how he translates as Viddihin. Very unique translation. He says Viddihin. So he says that how in all the Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, we see any great king, before he would start a yajna, he would take permission from sages, from his elders. He would take permission. Okay, without permission, they would not do only anything. Right? And not giving dakshina means, he says, without giving proper dakshina. So, I mean, I want to just comment on this as well. Sometimes in modern times, people feel that, we feel little hesitant to give dakshina. See, now, they make a very big distinction between dakshina and dana. It will come ahead. When we talk about dana, we'll elaborate that. Dakshina means to give someone who did something for you. That is called dakshina. Dan means to give someone whom you are not obliged to only. Okay, so please try to understand. These are two things. Like we say Guru Dakshina. Why Guru Dakshina? Because Guru has given you something. So you go and give him Dakshina. Okay, even the priest who is there, it is primarily Dakshina. Okay, the priest, you call him home to do some vidhi. It may be Griha Pravesh or something. Then you have to give him Dakshina. That is not technically called as Dana. So he makes a distinction here that Dakshina is given to somebody who does something for you. And Dana means to give something to someone who has, not just done anything, but you just go and give charity. Just like there may be a Brahmana who may be running a Gurukul. You may have not benefited from that Gurukul, but still you feel, no, I should help this Brahmana, so let me give him some Lakshmi. Right? So that becomes Dana. But if your child is going to that Gurukul and then you give that Brahmana money, then that is not called Dana, that is Dakshina. Because your child is studying there. So, you have actually compensated him for what he has done. So they make a distinction between Dan and Dakshina. So here in this verse, we are talking about Dakshina. Which again one should give very liberally. One should not feel. I have noticed this sometimes. Even some priest is there. We call them for some ceremony, and then we ask them how much we should give, and then people feel that there is so much how to give. Because we have to understand that. So people feel very hesitant to give it like that. They give dakshina, they feel minimum we will give or we will not give at all. So all that is considered tamas. That is all considered tamas. Shraddha virahitam, without proper shraddha. See, now this is another interesting thing. Many times something is done, people do many yajna or chant something, but they don't have faith in it. It is shastriya only. They take something from shastra and they do with all other characteristics, but they are not very confident internally. They feel, pata nahi chalega ki nahi chalega. Not sure whether it will work. That means you're doing it, but you're not having shraddha. So like that, right? So in this particular way, right? So in this way, this topic is done of yajna. Now the next topic is tapasya, right? Tapasya. So before going to tapasya, he talks about different types of tapasya, and then he goes into it. Now look at this. देवद्विज गुरु प्रज्ञा पूजानां शौचम आर्जवम ब्रह्मचर्य महिंसा च शारीरम तप उच्यते. Worshipping the gods, the brahmanas, the preceptors, and other enlightened persons, performing ablutions in holy rivers, etc., which generate purity, keeping the mind and action of body in harmony, not lusting after woman, not hurting other beings in any way. These are said to be the austerities of the body. Okay, so first thing he says, pujanam means as per Shastra, one should respect them. Pujanam means the definition of puja is as per Shastra, one should respect. Everybody should have respected. So they say in their commentary that when some senior person is standing, we should go around, we should move from the left and then go on their right. Pradakshina. Like we do pradakshina, na? Pradakshina is we go on the left. Like DT, how do we do pradakshina? We move left first and then we come around. That is pradakshina, right? Otherwise, it is called apradakshina. So staying left. So, so just like our Indian driving system, stay left. It seems to be in line with this, right? So that means if a great person is there, your guru has come, sannyasi has come, maharaj has come, you don't go around them apradakshina also. That means even if they are sitting, some great personality has come, you have to go around them in pradakshina only. That means you have to go left on your keeping yourself left on the left side, like how we do for the DT, like that only we should go. So this is all part of tapasya for the body. This is how you show respect to people. You don't go apradakshina. That's considered violation. And they say that if some elderly person comes, elderly as in Deva, Guru, whoever, or even your father comes, etc., one should immediately stand up. That is also, Ramanuja says, is respect for the father or any elderly person. And suppose you are sitting in a room and some elderly person comes in, immediately one is supposed to stand up as a respect. And Manu, he reads a very beautiful verse. He says, Urdhvam pranam utkramanti yunas stavira agate abhyuttan gabi vadabhyam punastan pratipadyate. So he says, if some elder comes, you're yuna means you're younger. If you don't get up, pranavayu will get up automatically. What he says is urdhvam pranam utkramanti. If some elder person doesn't, he comes into the room or he has come in the temple hall something and you keep sitting only, then your pranavayu will get up automatically. And if you don't get up, then basically you're shortening your life. So it's a polite language. He says, if we don't show respect to our elders, we are shortening our life. So he says, when someone elder comes, our pranavayu goes up. So we should also get up along with the pranavayu. Otherwise, your pranavayu will only go and you will keep sitting. Basically, means one will die like that. He just makes that point. Then Saucham. So what is Saucham? So very clearly he says, Saucham, he says, means to take bath in holy rivers and go on yatra to holy places. Very, he said this is only Saucham. So it's not just about anything else. Other things may be there, but this is how he translates it. Taking bath in holy rivers and going to holy places of pilgrimage. This is Saucham. Arjavam, again, very mind and action should be in harmony. Brahmacharya, everyone understands. Brahmacharya means yoshitsu bhogyata buddhi yukta iksha nadi rahitatvam. That means don't see woman as enjoyable property, like that. Okay. So all this is considered austerity, tapasya for the body. Okay. So very good. The next one. Anudvegagaram vakyam satyam prahitam chayet swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vangmayam tapa uchyate. That speech which does not cause disturbance for others, like creating dislike or fear in them, which is factually correct and contributes to the betterment of others, and which is agreeable, pleasing, and beneficial for others, and also the regular recitation of the scriptures, these constitute the austerity of speech. Okay. So first thing he says is, first Krishna talks, so in the commentary, Ramanuja says, see how Krishna has composed this verse. First part of the verse, he talks about worldly ways of austerity of speech. What is worldly? Worldly means anudvega garam vakam. See, anudvega garam vakam, he gives an example. He says, marma udganta. That means telling somebody's secret to others. That means breaking confidentiality, he says, is violating austerity of speech. So he has given such a commentary here. He says, repeating again, violating confidentiality. Somebody told you something in confidence and you go and tell 10 other people, then you are not austere in speech. That is an example, he says. Satya. Satya means bhuta hita proktam. Whatever you see and what is beneficial. So priya and hitam, two things are there. What is dear and what is good. Okay, so priya means what is dear to someone, and hitam means what is good for someone. Right? Like if you see anything, food, something may be priya, something may look good like finger chips, but it may not be very good. Something may not look good like karela or something, but it is hitam, it is good. But it should be both, he says. I mean, in the context of speech, so we are giving food examples. Okay, all this is laukika. See, the beauty is initially everything laukika has been said. Okay. So he quotes from Valmiki Ramayana how Rama had the characteristic Priyavadi cha Bhutanam Satyavadi cha Raghava. That Lord Ram's characteristic, which is said in the Ayodhya Kand chapter 1, is that he was Priyavadi and Satyavadi both simultaneously. So all this is Laukika. First line in the verse is Laukika. Second line in the verse is Vedika, Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means Vedic study. That means reciting the Vedic chant, especially for the Traivarnikas. Anybody who identifies himself or belongs to the Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya Varna, right? So they are supposed to recite the Vedic hymns, and they're very, very purifying, right? So everything. I mean, one is broadly the Vedas, then of course like the Vishnu Sahasranama, etc., and even reciting the various texts. Like I did mention this one time, I'm just mentioning it again in Swadhyaya. Like even the Srimad Bhagavatam, we should try to see if we can recite the text of Srimad Bhagavatam as well. It's very, very purifying. The text itself is very purifying. Of course, we all recite in our temple classes. For example, we recited 3 times and so on. But we can see if we can regularly recite these. Like maybe people could try to recite 1 or 2 chapters every day. It's very simple actually. And over a period of time, if you keep reciting, even the meaning becomes, embedded in our mind. Just like if you are reading Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra, it's not that you have to know word by word meaning, right? The meaning is just part of you. So similarly, Bhagavatam also, you're reciting any verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? If you have done that over and over again, then just by reading the verse, you are immediately conscious of the meaning as well as you're reading. So this is actually Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means reading the scripture. See, it is important to read the translations because you need to know the meaning. But that Sanskrit itself has that amazing potency. So we should never bypass that, right? So Swadhyaya actually is reading the Shastra directly. That means the Sanskrit itself, because those words have a potency. These have been spoken by Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami, and so on. They are not by some ordinary person like that. So everyone, please try to see this. In fact, Jiva Goswami writes about it. I came to know recently that Jiva Goswami writes about reading Srimad Bhagavatam daily chapters. When we hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would read with Gadadhar Pandit, Dhruva Charitra, Prahalad Charitra, what did they read? They weren't reading the Bengali or Orissa translation of the verses. They were directly reading the Sanskrit verses itself. So this is something that everybody should try, because this comes under Swadhyaya. This is basically austerity of speech. Right. Then the austerity of the mind. Manaprasada saumyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhi ityetat tapo manasam uchyate. Keeping the mind serene and free from perturbations like desire, anger, envy, etc. Always thinking of the welfare of others and always having pleasant thoughts. Controlling the speech through one's mind, always contemplating on the nature of Jivatma and Paramatma, and controlling the mind from thinking about anything mundane, thus purifying the mind. These are declared to be austerity performed with the mind. So primarily in the commentary, he says that one should be free from Kama and Krodha, and one should be prasanna in the mind. Prasanna in the mind means you should have a happy disposition always. That means you should not be grumbling. People are sometimes grumbling in nature. They are always irritated. That means you are not doing the tapasya of the mind. Paresham abhyudaya pranavyam. He says one should always think about the good of anybody. That is saumyatvam. Vasati hriti sanatane chatasmin bhavati puman jagadopi saumya rupaha. Always think of the Lord in the mind, and only then your form and personality can be saumya. So he basically says that bhakti yoga also means some kind of meditation, meditating on the form of the Lord, etc., which will purify the mind. And see, another interesting thing, Maunam, he says controlling the speech is basically tapasya for the mind. Somebody may say, Are, controlling the speech, isn't it tapasya of the word speech? No, because he says it is due to the mind only that we keep talking too much. So controlling the speech also is considered tapasya. I was thinking maybe nowadays we don't talk much, we text a lot, we chat a lot. So maybe that also should be part of this maunam, having control over our tendency to keep typing various things, because the austerity of the mind isn't exercised, just to be silent and withdrawn. So that is encouraged. Atma vinigraha. Here the Atma is the mind. Atma vinigraha, Atma is the mind. That means always thinking about the Atma or the Paramatma, depending on who you are. That means whether one is a monist or one is a bhakta. Bhava samshuddhi, intention, thought should be pure, and so on. So anyway, so the three verses now have just described about tapasya. Then we are going into tapasya in the three modes. Shraddhaya paraya taptam, verse number 17. Tapas trividham naraihi afala kankshibir yuktaihi satvikam parichakshate. Austerity is performed by people as described earlier, using the mind, body, and speech without expecting any material returns other than the delectation of Bhagavan, with the strong conviction that this austerity is for the worship of Bhagavan. May this please him. With a supreme dedication in performing the austerity so as to please Bhagavan, such an austerity is said to be sattvic in nature. See, very clear. It's in fact very similar to the other translations that we read earlier. 2-3 characteristics only. You're not expecting any material returns other than pleasing the Lord, and you have this conscious feeling that this is for his pleasure. Anything that we do, you're doing a tapasya for Ekadashi, anything, it is for his pleasure. That internal, that, dedication to him, right? If that is there, then it becomes Satvika. Okay. Anyway, we'll go ahead now. Satkaramana pujartam tapodhampene chaiva kriyate tadiham proktam rajasam chalamadruvam. That austerity which is performed, hankering for its rewards and for the sake of earning mental respect, verbal adulation, and earning adoration through physical gestures, and is performed with pomposity to create an image that one is a very pious person. Such an austerity is rajasic in nature and yields only temporary benefits and causes the fear in the person that the benefits being enjoyed can fade away at any time. See, many things Krishna has said here. Okay, so for fruits and for praise, damba, satkaram. So basically, right, 2-3 characteristics are said. One is wanting respect, which was already seen previously, hankering rewards. These two things we saw earlier. But another thing is also said here is that this tapasya done in Rajoguna, it yields temporary benefits because it will give you something in the world, and anything given in the world is temporary, and it causes fear in the person that these things will go away anytime, right? So these two things. Yeah. Then the last verse in the series is about tapasya and tamoguna. मूढ़ग्राहेण आत्मनो यत् पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्योत्साधनार्थं वा tat tamasam udahritam. That austerity is performed by foolish persons with the obstinate resolve, not knowing whether it is beneficial for them or not knowing whether one is capable enough of performing the austerity in entirety, thus inflicting a lot of pain on oneself in the process, or if it is performed for the purpose of destruction of others, such an austerity is said to be tamasic in nature. Again, please remember, this is all referring to Vedic processes only. There are Vedic ways in which one can do this. It is tamasic. We have already given several examples in the past, right? Which are all trying to do some tantra or some tapasya just to destroy somebody. Like I gave the example of that Shambuka of the Ramayana. He was doing this tapasya. See, he fulfilled all criteria. He did it without listening to anybody. Okay, and he was doing it to destroy Indra. So it's tamasic, and because the end will not be good, Ramachandra killed him. People think he killed him because he was Shudra and so on, but that's actually far from the truth. We see on the other hand Shabari and so many other characters in the Ramayana, they were also tapasvis only. But them, why Ram did not kill them? No, because they were not doing it with such a motive, right? They were doing tapasya just to please Bhagavan. They were not doing tapasya to kill Indra and conquer that place and all that. So that Shambhuka was also doing a Vedic method only, but he was doing a tamasic Vedic method, right? Because of which he was killed. Or this Bhasmasura and so on. So many examples. All of them are in this category. They don't know what is beneficial, right? They are only inflicting so much pain on themselves. So Ramanaj also gives the example of Ravan. Ravan was doing that yajna, cutting one head and putting it, right? So such things are there in the Shastra. If you see, one may find some such method. One has various heads. One is cutting one head and putting inside and so on, torturing oneself. Alpa, so the pain is less and the fruit is, so sorry, the pain is more, which is done by these people, and the fruit is very, very less, right? A place, time, who all, what ingredients, what purpose, everything must be thought about before doing something. If something has to be sattvic, but these people are not like that. And parasya, to destroy others. So even today, it is said that many politicians, etc., they try to take the help of some tantrics to do something to destroy some political enemy, etc. Right. So they are also using shastra, but then they do. Now we come to dhana. Okay, this is something very interesting. This is the last in the series of shastriya karma in 3 modes. Datavyam iti yadhyanam yad datavyam iti yadhanam diyate anupakarine deshakale cha patre cha tadhanam satvikam smritam. That charity which is given with a conviction that Bhagavan is pleased through this, at a holy place, at a holy time, as mentioned in Shastra, and given to a deserving person from whom one has not received any help in the past, nor is expected in the future. That form of charity is said to be sattvic in nature. So please remember, previously we spoke about dakshina. Now we are coming about dana. See, dana, see, this word is very important. Anupakarine. Anupakarine means you have not received anything from him. Still you are giving him. Then only it is dana. Otherwise, it is not dana. So now we can use this as a framework to understand how much dana we do. Right? Giving somebody from which we have not got anything. Otherwise, it becomes dakshina. Correct? Otherwise, we call it dakshina. We don't call it dana. So there is a difference in these two words. Right? So Ramanuja says, so his first thing he says is that place. So just like, for example, it is said that in Sarayu River, outside the Sarayu River, it is said that Lord Ramachandra gave lot of cows in charity. So even today, that place is considered very special for dana. If somebody wants to do dana, if you are outside Sarayu River and you are able to do dana, that is considered very good. Then similarly, desha. So desha means a particular. Desha again means place. Just like, for example, it is said Rama Setu. If some tarpana has to be like Gaya Shraddha, we say, na? People go to Gaya to do Shraddha. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there to do Shraddha for his father after Jagannath Mishra departed. Because that place has a speciality. One cannot say that I can do anywhere, I can do in my house. You can do, but that place is very special. Okay, so Desha Kalecha Patrecha. Now, what is Patra? Now, very interesting definition he gives. So, look at this verse. They quote one verse. Vritta Vrishti Samudreshu Vritta Triptasya Bhojanam Vritta Danam Samartasya Vritta Deepo Divapicha. He says Vritta Vrishti Samudreshu. Suppose if there is rain, but rain is happening on ocean, it is useless. Ocean already so much water is there. What is the use of rain on ocean? It's almost useless. Vritta Triptasya Bhojanam. Someone has had a very big meal and is burping, and you give him some prasad, say that please take this. It is useless. This fellow, such a big feast he has had. What is the use of your giving him food? Vritta Deepo Diva Picha. When there is broad sunlight, if somebody brings a lamp, that is also useless. Similarly, he says Vritta Danam Samarthasya. Look at this. That means if someone is very capable, you don't have to give him dana. Okay, you have to give dana to a person who needs it for something. Okay, that means the dana should be given to a particular person who needs it. If he already has everything and you are giving him only, well, what's the point? He already has a lot, right? So I think this verses as these give us some direction. In fact, in one another commentary, I think Ramanacharya only I learned. I forgot in which context it was, but he says that if your Grama Devata is suffering and you say that I will go and give charity in Tirupati, he says it is useless. Because first you have to give your Grama Devata, that Devata who is there, you have to protect and preserve that environment. What is the use of going some far place and giving money over there? So one should always find out the right patra, one who really needs the dhana to do something, who can, right? So maybe there are some good people who are doing some project, something they are doing, right? They are running a gurukul traditionally, or they are right taking care of cows. They are doing something, uh, and they really need it. It's not that he doesn't need any money and we just go and give someone, right? And there's no point, like that he says. Yeah, and he says that one should give dana to a person who has knowledge and also who has good behavior. So he says this both things should be there. Na vidyaya kevalaya. If only vidya is there, then no. But vritti means good behavior also must be there. Somebody may say, what if he has good behavior but has no vidya? Then also it's a problem, because he may have good behavior, but if doesn't know basic things, he may not be able to use that money carefully. Anupakarine, he hasn't done anything special for you. Okay, so this is all part of Sattvika Dana. So it's our duty to give dana. It's not that that person needs it. Okay, he needs it, but it is our duty to seek out people who need wealth for doing something, or who are engaged in certain ways, and we need to give it to them. Right. So dana is an individual responsibility. And now look at the next verse. Yattu pratyupakarartham phalam uddishya va punah diyate cha pariklishtam tad danam rajasam smritam. However, that charity which is given with the hope of obtaining some return in future. See, prati upakaratva, or given as a return to what was received earlier, or in expectation of some reward, punya, for the charity done. And the materials which are given are unfit or spoiled, as the giver is reluctant to give good material but is compelled to give. Look at that pariklishtam. Such a form of charity is said to be rajasic in nature. So, sometimes what happens, like in Marathi, they say, dene gene che vastu. Like if you go to a typical sari shop in Pune and you say that I want 10 saris, they ask, dene घेण्यासाठी पाहिजे का? That means just to give someone. Like some festival is there at home. Just you want to give, namesake you want to give. Okay, I give sari also. So some 100 rupees sari that fellow will have. The shopkeeper, he will bring all of that in front. So that is pariklishta. That means the materials are unfit. But you just, as a social formality, you feel, "Arey, dena padega." We have to give that sari or that dhoti. So buy the most cheapest thing. So you want to give some pandit, some dhoti. So you go and ask, wow, so Shraddha is there at home. So in Shraddha, when you do a Shraddha for your Pitra, then you invite some Brahmana for Bhojan. And as part of the Bhojan, you have to give them dhoti as well. So sometimes in some shops, I've seen this in South India also. They keep two types of dhotis. One is very good quality dhoti, which people like to buy for themselves. And there is other type of dhoti, which is very thin, transparent type of thing. And they keep it specifically for this kind of events. And people ask also that. So the point is, okay, if somebody doesn't have enough money and he buys that, that is okay. But somebody may be very rich, he may be driving in Honda City. But when he comes to the shop to buy the dhoti to give the Brahmin, he will say that give me that sabse sasta wala dhoti, which is costing 150 rupees. So because it is just to give. So then the Satya Dhana is considered in Rajoguna. It's not Sattva because you have the capacity to give. You could have given a better thing, but you intentionally don't want to give. You just want to give for the sake of it. You want to just say that, okay, I give. Okay, now see, for this, that they quote a very interesting Puranic story. There were four brothers, Ashtakan, Pratardan, Vasumana, and Shibi. So Shibi we all know. So Shibi had three elder brothers. Okay, it's a Puranic story. Ashtakan was one, Pratardanan, Vasumanan, and Shibi. These four were brothers. So one day as they were traveling, Narad Muni met them. So Narad Muni met them and, they were having a nice chat with Narad Muni. Then they were all charitable people. It's not that only Shibi Maharaj was charitable. All of them were charitable. So all of them, they knew that they are all going to Swarga. That was kind of taken for granted. Whether they are aspiring or no, they knew Swarga only they are going. So they asked Narada, Narad Muni, please tell us after going to Swarga, who's going to come down first? So Narada said that first Ashtakan will come. Second, Pratardan will come back from Swarga. Third, Vasumanas will come. And Shivi literally will not come because so much he has. So they asked why. So Narada Muni said, this Ashtakan, once what he did was, he was traveling somewhere and he saw a group of cows. And he told some friends with whom he was traveling, you see all these cows? I only gave that in charity. So Narada Muni says, because he has a tendency to say like this, that I give this in charity. Yeah? Do you see these cows? These cows are I only gave to this Brahmin. I gave this charity. Once you say like that, he says that then lot of merit comes down. So this Ashtakan is going to come first from Swarga. Second, he says is Pratardan. So why? So Narad Muni again tells another story. He says once upon a time Pratardana had 4 horses and it was a chariot and he was traveling. As he was traveling, what happened is he met some Brahmanas who really needed a horse for their journey. So first he gave 1 horse. Then he had only 3. Then later he gave the second horse also. Then he had only 2. His chariot was going on 2 horses. Then he gave the third also. Then only 1 horse was there. Then he saw somebody who really needed that horse. So he gave that horse, and as he was giving the 4th horse, he had a feeling in his mind. Why only I am having to give everything? Huh? Why all these people who need something come in my vision only, forcing me to give something? So because he felt that, so it was considered Rajoguna. So he is second fellow to come back. Then third is Vasumanas. He says, why Vasumanas? Because he said once upon a time, Vasumanas, what happened? He had intended to give charity to somebody, but he never gave. In his mind, he thought that, okay, I should give dana. But then later he forgot only about it. He was casual about it, so called. So he's the third. But Shibi, he says, Narada Muni says, Shibi is topmost. He is like the greatest charitable personality. So last he will come down. So we understand basically that charity, these characteristics must not be there. That means thinking that I should get back something right? Just to give another example, I have seen this sometimes, like in marriages and all. Previously, they would give some money to the couple. So some people, what they do, whoever gave how much, they write it down, and they say ensure that the same amount they just give it back later, something like that. So people do many things, right? Expectation of some reward, punya for something done. So all these things, right? We can see this very clear. Chalo, now let's go to cover some many verses. Let's go to 22nd verse. Adeshakale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asatkritam avagnatam tat tamasam udahritam. That charity which is given at a place which is unsuitable and unholy at an improper time. That means giving at night, etc. Okay, so that is, one should not do like that. Okay. Then apatrebhya, to an undeserving person who may be a cruel thief, hypocrite, or in the previous verses, who doesn't need only. He has a lot of money, but you go and give him only. No, that is also not. Asatkritam, without paying due respect to the recipient. So it is said that before one gives charity, one is supposed to wash the person's feet, and so many such processes are also there. Avajnatam, showing contempt or insult or criticism to the recipient while giving. Sometimes people will give and make such a face to show that, I gave you, take, go. Then that is also not correct. Such a dhanam is considered tamasic in nature. Right. So anyway, so with this, the second topic of Yamunacharya is that. What was the second topic? All Shastriya karma are divided into three. So all this is Shastriya. So we are not talking about giving outside the purview of Shastra. Right? It's not that you give a bribe to someone, then that comes in this verse. No, we are talking about giving within the boundary of Shastra only. Right? One is giving to the Panditji. So one is giving someone, but it's under the boundary of Shastra. So that is spoken here. Now we come to the last part of this. Now, what is the last part? The last part is a little difficult. This Om Tat Sat. Okay, this Om Tat Sat are spoken here. Very beautiful commentary is given here. How Om Tat Sat is indicator of certain Vedic processes. Okay, so how they are indication we will see, and what is the connection of that to the entire chapter. With that, this chapter will be done. Om Tat Sat iti nirdesho Brahmanas Trivida Smritaha Brahmanasthena Vedescha Yajnascha Vihita Pura. Om Tat Sat. These three words are considered to be connected with Vedic rituals. The class of people who are eligible for the acts connected with the Vedas, the Vedic hymns, and the Vedic yajnas are associated with these three terms are as ordained by me at the beginning of creation, where I instructed Brahma and others on the eternal Vedas and propagated it. So basically, see at one level na Om Tat Sat all refer to Paramatma. So that is the first commentary Ramanacharya gives. He quotes extensively from various Upanishads, like there's Upanishad Vakyam. Tatte padam sangrahenam pravakshe sarva veda yat padam amananti sarvam stapam charanti om itye tat tat. That means any subject which is Brahman is addressed by Om. Om means it addresses Brahman. Similarly, the word Tat also, it addresses Brahman only. Just like, for example, Vishnu Sahasranamam, there is a line, Eko Neka Savakakyam Yettat Padaman Uttamam. So Tat refers to Paramatma, Vishnu, in the Vishnu Sahasranama. Tad itiva etasya mahato bhutasya nama bhavati. The top item is addressed as Tat. Like that, there are commentaries, right? So basically, Tat, this word Tat which is there, it refers to again Supreme Lord. Then the word Sat also, there are definitions in the Shastra where Sat refers again to the Paramatma. Like for example, Sadeva Somya Agra Asid, Eka Eva Dutiya. So Sat refers to Paramatma in this verse. So Upanishadic verses. Okay, so all these things, Om Tat Sat, all refer to Paramatma. But Ramanujare says that in this verse, how from where Paramatma suddenly came. So at one level, he says this Om Tat Sat, all of them refer to the Paramatma. But then he says, how come we can, give such a definition? Because when we say everything refers to Paramatma, why is that coming here? Right? Because in the context of this verse, why is it coming? Why is suddenly Krishna talking about Paramatma now? So he says, no, we will have to look at another meaning. See, what happens is all these verses in the Shastra, they have multiple meanings, right? So at one level, it may be Paramatma, but at an level there is another meaning. So that second meaning is going to be explored by Ramanacharya in his commentary. So first he says this Om Tat Sat are connected with Vedic rituals. They are indicators. They indicate something. And what do they indicate? They indicate something in connection to the Vedas, to the Brahmanas who chant the Vedas, and ultimately to the Yagyas. So there are three things. One is the Veda, one is the learner of the Veda, who is the Brahmana, and the other is the Yagya, the act done by the Veda. So one reads the Veda or one studies the Veda in order to do various Yagyas, various sacrifices. Okay, so Om Tat Sat are indicators. Now, what are they going to indicate? We will see that. The future next last 4 verses of this chapter, that's what they describe. So one by one. 24th verse talks about Om, 25th talks about Tat, and 26th and 27th talk about Sat. Okay, so what they indicate. So that is how his entire commentary is. So let's look at the 24th verse. Tasmad Om Ityudahritya Yajnadana Tapakriya Pravartante Vidanokta Satatam Brahmavadina. Therefore, as I, the creator of the whole universe, have ordained the connection between the three words in Vedic rituals according to the prescriptions of scriptural texts, the Brahmana, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas who are eligible and trained in the recitation of Vedic hymns always first utter the sacred syllable Om and then proceed to perform the activities like Yajna, charity, and austerity. Okay, so how is Om connected? In this Om Tat Sat, Om is connected because anything related to the Vedas, Om has to be recited. That is how Om is connected. See, because this whole chapter was about what? What is as per Shastra and what is not as per Shastra. So what is one indication that something is as per Shastra? Om will always be there. Okay, so he has given a very elaborate commentary on the Omkar itself, Om itself, which is very similar to what most of us have heard. Like refers to the Supreme Lord, because the Akshara even in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we had seen refers to the Supreme Lord, and Ma is the Jiva. Ma is the 25th letter in the Sanskrit order of alphabets, and the 25th entity in Sankhya is the Jiva. So Ma is the Jiva, and U is that connection medium between the Lord and the Jiva. So sometimes we call that as Radharani, and they also agree that even in Andal, in her Tirupavai, there are these verses, Undu Malagalitran, and so many such verses are there, Pasurams, which start with U, and they all refer to Tayar. Tayar means the pleasure potency. Okay, so this is something that all of us know and have heard. So Om basically refers to ultimately the Supreme Lord, the Jiva, and the pleasure potency which connects us. Okay, so that is why Om is always recited. So even those who read the Vedas, always it starts, like if you're reading Purusha Sukta, it will always start with Harihi Om, anything. In any Yajurveda, any Veda you are reading, Harihi Om, Tat Vishnu, O Paramam Padagam Sada Pashyanti Suri, it will always start like that. And when you end a chapter also, you have to say Harihi Om only. So without Om, no Vedic text is complete. So how is Om an indicator? Wherever Om is there, we understand that it is a Shastriya text, like that. So that is Om. Okay. Now Tat, 25th verse. Tad iti anabhisandhana sandhaya phalam yajna tapakriya dana kriyascha vivida kriyante moksha kankshibhihi. Those who seek liberation without seeing any other material benefits undertake various actions such as acts of yajnas, austerities, and charities, commence their activities only after uttering the syllable Tat, which is an appellation referring to Bhagavan. Okay, so this word Tat, which is there, Tat, one may say that we don't seem to be reciting Tat. Okay, so the commentary, what Ramanujacharya says is Om is part of Anushtan. Anushtan means in any recitation, Om has to be there. Like Brahma Gayatri, it will begin with Om. So any Anushtan starts with Om. Tat is not for Anushtan, but Tat is to indicate. Okay, what to indicate? It basically indicates anything which is done for moksha. Okay, that is the point. Anything done for liberation. Any activity done for liberation, the name of that activity is Tat. So Tat is like a flag. Anything for liberation, it means Tat. So that's why this whole verse, the translation starts with Moksha Kankshibhihi. Those who seek liberation without material benefits, That for them, tat is the indication. Tat is an indication. They may not actually recite it like we recite Omkar, but in the entire Vedic, so there is a lot of Upanishadic quotes here as well. I'm not reading that to cut down on time, but um, Tat is considered address to anything done for moksha. Now the third thing, what is Sat? Okay, now for this for very beautiful commentary. Sat basically is going to refer to anything done for worldly gains. That is Sat. Now somebody may say, how can that be Sat? So that is why what Krishna also does in the 26th verse, he talks about how Sat, this word Sat is used in the worldly sense. Okay, look at this word. सद्भावे साधुभावे च सदित्येतत् प्रयुज्यते प्रशस्ते कर्मणि तथा सशब्द पार्थ उच्यते. Hey Arjuna, the term sat is employed to convey the meaning of existence of an entity and to convey the meaning of goodness, auspiciousness in an activity. In the same way, the word sat is used to refer to activities that are auspicious. See, so Krishna, what he does in this verse, he's talking about how the word sat is used in this world. Sat is used in this verse in two ways. One is Sat Bhave, that means something is existing, then we call that as Sat. Just like, for example, a rabbit horn or Akasha Pushpa is Asat, that means it doesn't exist. And let us say Dasharath Maharaj, he is also Asat because currently he is not there. So Sat is used in this world in the context of something that is currently existing in the world. That is Sat Bhave. So Sat Bhave means Sat is used in the context of existence of an entity. And second thing, Sat is used in the context of Sadhu Bhava. Sadhu Bhava means, like we say, Sat Putra, Sat Marga. Sat Marga means what? A very auspicious path. Sat Putra means what? A very good son. So that means Sadhu Bhave means a very auspicious thing in this world is also called Sat. So Krishna is saying in this verse, Sat is in this world is referred to two things. One is it is referring to existence of something. Second, it refers to something which is auspicious. So what is Krishna wanting to say? All the Vedic sacrifices, yajnas that give you auspicious things in this world, material things only, but auspicious, that is called as Sat. Right? So Tat is for moksha, Sat is for worldly objects, Om is to refer to anything that is Vedic. So in Om, Tat, Sat, everything is covered. Om, all the Vedas are covered. Tat, all the spiritual world, moksha is covered. And in Sat, all the worldly objects that one could get from the Veda is covered. In this way, Om Sat Sat act as indicator of anything that is Vedic process. Okay, so the 27th verse, if you see, Yajne tapasi dane cha sthiti saditi chochate karma chaiva tadarthiyam Sadityeva vidhiyate. The steadfastness of the three classes of the people who adhere to the Vedas is performing the yajna, austerity, and charity is denoted by the term Sat. Similarly, the actions which are performed which yield desired benefits to these people. Look at that word. Tat arthiyam. Artha means what? Some valuable thing, right? Artha means something done for benefit of the people. Avidhiyate, it is also called Sat. So in this way, he says Sat means anything in this world which could give you I mean the yajna dana tapa in the shastra which can ultimately give you an action or an object which is auspicious in this world. Okay, that is called as that. So what is the purpose of saying all this? The purpose of saying all this is don't do anything outside of the domain of Om Tat Sat. That means whatever you do should be in touch with the Veda. Whatever you do should be either for moksha or even if it is for worldly benefit also, don't go outside the Vedas. In the Vedas itself, you will get various things for worldly benefit if you want that also. Correct? So Om Tat Sat basically cover everything. Now again, Krishna goes back to answer what Arjuna asked in verse number 1. Because Arjuna had asked in verse number 1, if something is not as per Shastra, what result will it give? Look at that. Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapastriptam kritam chayate asadidichyate partha nacha tat pretya no iha. Whichever yajna sacrifice is performed or charity is given, austerity is performed without faith, such karma is termed asat. Because such karma can never become means to liberation, nor it can begin means to any other worldly benefits for which they were performed. Okay, so he's emphasizing on one point now. See, now what is asat he's saying? See, now he said sat. Sat means what? We said two things. Sat means it should be shastra and there should be shraddha also in it. That means we had spoken that, right? Without Shraddha, if you do, then that is not correct. One should have faith that yes, this will give me something. And just like astrology. So in astrology, there are various upaya we tell people. Okay, you, for example, somebody wants a child. During Navaratri, it is said that it is very auspicious to read the birth of Lord Ramachandra. If you read, because there is a Falashruti, if you read the birth of Lord Ramachandra, child can be born in your family. But somebody should have Shraddha in it. If you are reading and thinking, "Arey, just by reading this Ramayana, from where child will come in my family," then finished. Because Shraddha is not there. Okay, so Asat means what? So Asat can mean two things. One is it is not in Shastra or it is done without Shraddha. So Ramanujacharya says not in Shastra is not a question only, because if something is not in Shastra, we are not even discussing it here. So he says Asat here means without Shraddha one is doing. Then what will happen? You don't go to hell or something, but then what will happen is you will not get the fruit. Even moksha. Let's say somebody is doing some chanting or something. One should have Shraddha, na? Chanting Harinam. I will advance in spiritual life. If you are doing it, you are thinking, "Arey, pata nahi, isse kuch hoga kya?" Then that's gone. So without Shraddha, anything done, it is fruitless. Not that it will send you to hell, because it is Shastriya karma. Only Ashastriya karma will take you to hell. But Shastriya karma, you will just do not get anything. Right? So with that, this particular chapter. So Krishna has concluded the chapter, right? Because Arjuna had asked, what was the first verse? What about activities which are not in Shastra? That he had already rejected in the 5th verse. But Krishna so beautifully explains everything. How everything is in 3 modes as per Shastra. As per Shastra, everything is in 3 modes. And Om Tat Sat indicate everything which is in Shastra. Right, Hare Krishna. We end here. Sorry, it was a bit long. Anybody has any question or comment, you can raise your hand. We'll just take one or two and end the book.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, Dandavat. I don't know who's asking, but who?
Harshad Vedas,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
Dandavat Mother. Please go ahead.
Prabhuji, you said that Om is the supreme personality of Godhead.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we see in the text that when the scientists have done the research by analyzing the sound vibrations coming from when we utter the Om, they have seen the Sri Chakra, something like that. So, what's your comment on that?
I'm not aware of that research, but what have they seen? If they chant Om, then what happens?
Continuously chanting the Om, and then that sound vibration, one, I don't remember the instrument name, that will give the picture, one picture, something like that. So, that picture has revealed the Sri Chakra.
Is it like
And
the aura?
reversal also they have done. Sri Chakra, Sri Chakra.
Do they capture the aura or something of a person?
No, not aura of the person, just sound analysis of the sound vibrations.
Possible, very much, because the Shastra emphasizes, I mean, Omkar has its value in chanting. But obviously, everybody is not supposed to chant it, and there are ways in which how it is to be done and all that. There's a process, but yes, perfect. Omkar is everything is there, na? U, and Ma. Supreme Lord is there, pleasure potency
Yeah,
is there,
okay.
Shiva is there, and
Okay, okay.
it's a complete sound vibration. So in any Vedic text, see, Krishna's point in 17th chapter is anything in the Veda without Om, you will not find it. Anything, anything. It will start with Om, it will end with Om, like that.
So then are we women supposed to?
Ah, the women weren't. See, because there was a technical reason also once I heard. The Omkar, it seems, should come from the belly. From the
Yes.
belly, one has to bring that sound. Like it's a deep sound you pull in from within. And they say, especially women, because of fertility and so many other reasons, they are not supposed to strain their abdomen, uterus, etc. So that's what I had heard from one Vedic scholar. He said that that's why traditionally women were not asked.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Anybody, any other question? Yeah. Samir Krishna Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhuji, you said that performing yajna for material benefits is Rajoguni yajna. But then when if we expect some benefits, must say even material, but they are connected to our spiritual advancement, spiritual life. So even that, is that also Rajoguna or should be avoided ideally, or that is okay,
See,
kind of?
see, Rajoguna is not bad, please remember. Tamoguna is also not been called as bad. Ashastriya karma is criticized. And I'm just making that point again. See, sometimes we hypothetically think that we are in we should do everything in sattva only. No, it's not like that. Somebody may do something. See, so the recommended path is, even if you want something, as you're doing that action also, you leave it to God to decide that. I mean, just to give an example, let's say someone wants a child and they do some process, some vidhi, which is there in the Shastra, how they can get a child. Let's say Dasharath Maharaj does Putra Kamishti Yajna, something they do to obtain a child, some Yajna, Dana they do. But even in that doing, there has to be some Nishkama Bhavana. Then that's considered Sattvic. Okay. As in, okay, we are doing it for your pleasure. Whatever you intend, O Lord, do it. If you feel I should get a child, give. If not, that's fine. It's all for your pleasure only done. So what I understand is, even if somebody does some action which is for a fruit, there has to be a level of detachment from it as well simultaneously. But otherwise, if it is done with too much of involvement and expectation of the fruit, then it becomes rajasic. It's not bad. Even tamasic is not considered quote unquote terrible. What is considered terrible is ashastri, right? So that's fine. But yes, technically speaking, yes. Does that answer?
Yeah, thank you, Guruji.
Yeah. Anybody else? Saragrai Prabhu, you want to go ahead? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. I mean, like the follow-up question is that, I mean, like if that is the case, then why there is a division between Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic? I mean, because everything is required in the life, right? I mean, Sattvic is required.
Yeah. Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic is required, but that proportion. See, when the Rajasic, Tamasic proportion becomes over, like sleep is required. So some Tamoguna is required only. Some Rajoguna is required. That's why in Rajoguna food also it was said Ati Lavana, Ati Tikshana. Because some Tikshana, some Lavana is needed only. But when it goes in that Ati direction, it becomes Rajasic. And more importantly, see, this classification is needed to understand where one is, right? I mean, see, I mean, we'll have to go some verses behind also. If you go back some verses behind, you understand that prominently being in Sattva takes you towards moksha. Prominently being Rajoguna, birth here only, like that. So one has to understand that also, no? If one forgets that and one is carried away too much in Rajoguna, Tamoguna only, then that's not good for the long term moksha goal. Correct?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, but then you see, somebody is suffering very bad and he desperately wants a result for which he does some yajna dana. At least he should understand that I am doing it Rajoguna. Okay, I may get it, but that's not going to solve all my problems. I'll have to come back to Sattva eventually.
So, Prabhuji, I mean, like, is it a good understanding that for the time, place, circumstance, we adopt the Rajasic and Tamasic, but mainly our life should be
Yeah,
Sattvic only?
yeah, certainly. Primarily, life is Sattvic only. Should.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Areba. Yeah, Damodar Ashtakam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this is from the last lecture which we were discussing about. You mentioned that in Vedas, for some people who are in mode of ignorance, something is mentioned that they can this tantric with them all. So when they try it on someone, uh, does that affect them as per their moods? Like if somebody wishes to influence some other person who is not primarily on mode of in the mode of ignorance, so will that affect?
See, that depends on the power of the ability of the penance, everything. Like, I mean, if you go back to the Shastra, like this Bhasmasur is there, right? He wanted to touch Shiva's head only and kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So temporarily he was, at least he gave a fright to Lord Shiva. See,
Mm-hmm.
it depends on how powerful that tapasvi is. So it is a fact that if somebody is very tapasvi and very powerful in Tamoguna, he can destroy anybody. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Power is there. See, that's a different thing. Modern people may not have such tapobala in tamasa also. See, in tamasa also tapobala has to be there, na? That person
Okay.
has to do it with that intensity to get it, to get that fruit. That fruit may be very meager. Meager means something very small, right? Like killing somebody, something very small and very kind of not recommended. But उसके लिए भी तपो शक्ति चाहिए ना? He has to be there. Yeah, so he can.
Like
Why not? Yeah, he can. If Lord Shiva
This
can
Bhak-
be frightened by somebody who is, I mean, who is in comparison to Lord Shiva? See, the example is there in the Puranas.
Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur's case also we have
Yeah, very
that
much.
he
The Tantric, he gave a fright to Bhaktivinoda. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had pain in the heart, right? At the end of the day. See, ultimately he overcame that. But pain in the heart, his daughter Kadambini was sick with fever, high fever. So that Tantric was able to influence. See, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also powerful, you may say, he didn't get so much influenced. And maybe that Tantric was also a Kali Yuga fellow only, right? Modern times, 100 years back. He was not as powerful as Bhasmasura or something. But you can just imagine, there can be people who can actually cause harm to anyone. Because Tamoguna is like that.
Yeah. And probably second thing, this Purusha Sukta and Sri Sukta ka authorized translation, like meaning and all, from where can we get? Because it's, I heard some, but it is like, it's from Vedas, so it has some of the explanations have some Mayavadi kind of, or
I'll just work
impersonalism.
on it. I'll try to share that sometime. I was also interested. I'll get back on that.
Yes.
Yes. Brajendra Kumar Prabhu, go ahead.
Hari bol, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hari Bol.
So, this saying Om Tat Sat, right? There is some understanding that after every activity we do, then we can say Om Tat Sat.
Yeah,
Is that right understanding, or what is it like? I'm not very clear.
no, it can be said because see, at one level, Om Tat Sat all refer to the Supreme Lord. In that mood, it can be said, and Om Tat Sat are indicating anything in the Vedic domain. There are some people like Jayapatak Maharaj chants Om Tat Sat. I have noticed that some people chant like that. But as such, in the chanting, only Om is chanted. That is enough. Tat and Sat are more indications. It need not be explicitly chanted always. But Om has to be chanted. I mean, if you have a Bhagavatam class also, you start with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, right? The first thing is Om only. Without that, you cannot start Bhagavatam class also. So Om has to be chanted every week. Without that, nothing happens. Tat Sat, they are more indicating. Tat is indicating moksha, Sat is indicating worldly things. Like that, he comments.
So Prabhu, this explanation that you gave, I mean, in the purport of Prabhupada, there are similar explanations. Like,
Yes.
where do you see the, I mean, very Ramanacharya explicit explanations? I didn't get, because I'm still understanding the similar way only.
Yeah, it is similar, but the thing is, the clarity here is very clear. I mean, he has, see,
Okay.
their commentary, what they have done, it's more top down. Like, it's like they give a full picture of the chapter. They say this verse to this verse is this topic, this verse to this topic, and this topic. Like, for example, the Om Tat Sat, similar commentaries you will find everywhere, but this very specific categorization that Tat is for moksha, Sat is for worldly objects. This classification that Tamo Guna means only Shastriya karma, that is tamas. Correct?
Yeah, within the Shastras only.
Within the Shastra. Like sometimes I give the example, right? Sometimes we just show meat and eggs as tamoguni food. You can't show that. Meat is tamoguni if it is done as per Shastriya. Like there is some offering to Kali and something like that.
Okay.
It is not something that Sattva people want. It is as per Shastra only, but it is tamoguna. Otherwise, it's not. It's just hellish life. You're directly going to hell only. Here, at least some benefit will be there. Some small, little tamoguna will give you something. But ashastriya karma, direct hell only. It is like you may say complete tamas or whatever. But so some aspects of his commentary are very unique. That's what I was emphasizing on.
Okay. And Prabhuji, 14 chapter dealt with 3 modes.
Yeah.
17 chapter also dealt with 3 modes. My question was,
there is a big difference. See, the 14th chapter, that was a more general description about destination and all that. Here it is from Shastra perspective. This Yajna Dana Tapa, this is the main thing here.
okay.
Very Shastriya karma divided as 3 modes. That's the focus.
Okay. Got it.
Gaurav Prabhu, go ahead.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Thank you for the nice class. Prabhuji, see, when we talk about this activities in 3 modes, so I'm just wondering that what is the difference in the results if one acts in these 3 different modes?
Oh,
So if one is giving, yeah,
yeah,
so
that is already covered in the 14th chapter, na Prabhuji? Result means what? Sattva guna means you go upwards. Upwards means towards moksha. Rajoguna means you stay here only among the Rakshasas or human beings or the yonis that have Rajoguna. Tamoguna means you go down. So eventual destination is all spoken already. That is spoken before only in the 14th chapter. Where you eventually go.
so
So one has to
no, but
understand, if I want moksha, I have to do mainly Sattva-guna activity because I want to go upwards. Urdhvam
no,
gachanti. Yeah.
Prabhuji, for example, somebody is doing these activities even in Tamoguna, that is still better than somebody is not doing it at all.
Of course it is.
But if at all the Tamogudi person is going into the lower modes, then what about the difference between him and somebody who is not doing anything at all? They
Yeah.
both seem to have the same destination, right?
No, not same, not same. There is a difference. See, the Tamoguni person, I told you, right? See, the Tamoguni person gets some meager benefits. Like Ravan did tapasya. He got benefit. Hiranyakashipu. What a tapasya he did. He did tapasya specifically to destroy all the devatas. He got some benefit. 5 years he ruled. Then only not Narasimhadev came and killed him, right? Ravan, he got a big Lanka. He got so many facilities. Something he got. It may have been for a very short time. Eventually it was all destroyed. So how he discusses Tamoguna, you will get something. It may be very meager. Like somebody is doing some tantric rite to destroy somebody. Okay, you may end up destroying him. Like that Bishak Sen. Some benefit you got. At least what you wanted, it got achieved. But Ashastriya karma gives you only hell. So there is a difference, right? Here at least I get some meager fruit first and then I suffer. There it is direct only suffering. So that's how he distinguishes between these two. Is that clear?
Yeah, no, okay, thank you. So one more question I have is that we mentioned about this Dan thing,
Yeah.
that it has to be given to some place or some person from whom we are not getting anything else in return.
Otherwise it is
No.
Dakshina. Yeah.
Agreed. So, I mean, technically speaking, whatever dan we give to our ISKCON temples, that actually is not dan because we are utilizing so many facilities from the temple, also taking prasad in the temple so many times. So, is that right to say it's not actually dan, it's more of a dakshina?
Technically speaking, it will be more Dakshina. See, Dakshina also has to be given. It is not that Dakshina is not to be given. Dakshina has to be given. Dakshina, you have to give Dakshina only. Obviously, right? You are hearing from your Guru. Guru Dakshina to dena padega aapko. You can't just simply take and not give. That is considered bad. Dakshina has to be given. Dan also has to be given. The word dana is very specific in their use. Otherwise, they say, if you are giving something to someone from whom you got something, knowledge, anything you got, then that becomes dakshina. So they just, it's a fine difference. Somebody may say, sometimes we just mix up the terms, but they say dana is given where unconditionality is there. See, the whole point is in the verse in dana, the focus is unconditional. Matlab, I don't want anything. I mean, I have nothing in this, but still I'm giving. Like that's why I give an example, right? Some Brahmana is running a Gurukul. If your child is studying in that Gurukul and you go and give some money, that is not done. That is Dakshina. Your son is studying there, you are giving. But if you are giving to a Gurukul, a Guru who is running a Gurukul where your son is not studying, you have nothing to obtain from that Gurukul. But still you are giving that Brahman, thinking that let him expand education. Then that is done. Like that they say. Just to understand the difference between them.
Yes. Yeah, we've got it. So probably one more thing is that, see, we typically say that, the dan should be given to a Supatra, and Supatra is typically defined as Brahmins, right? But there will be acts of philanthropy. You will give to some poor person, need not be a Brahman, right? Somebody needy. So where does that falls?
No,
Is
sure.
that
Wait, one
sattva?
second, one second. See, no, actually, sorry, I want to go back on it. It is not that dan is given only to a Brahman. Dan is given to anyone who needs it. Okay, so the Brahman may need, because as I gave an example, he's running a Gurukul. He's a poor Brahmana. He's running a Gurukul. If he is not supported, how will he run? So he's a needy person there. Okay. Giving
Mhm.
others charity is also considered dhan only, like giving some poor man food. I think we have discussed this many times in the Jiva Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I think I did in Chaitanya Shikshamrit or Jaiva Dharma. He talks about 10 types of charity: giving education, giving clothes to the needy. Huh? Giving clothes means not, you don't give clothes to somebody who is like some very rich man. If you go and give, what is the point? He's already having 100 pairs of whatever shoe and everything. Giving him is not considered. He's not the right patra. Someone who genuinely needs it, that is also considered dhan only. Like some woman
Yeah.
is there, some man is there. He's I mean, I recently came across one devotee. His father, you know what he did? He identified various some tribal communities, etc., and he gave Mangal Sutra to all of them. Because these people were very poor people. When they would get their daughter married, they did not have even enough money to get the gold for the Mangal Sutra. So he thought that, okay, these people are getting their daughter married properly. So and they are poor also. They don't have facility, and I have a lot of money with me. So let me give Mangal Sutra to all these people. One devotee's father, I came to know. It's a very touching thing. That's actually done. You see what
Yeah,
Krishna's father has
but
done.
it is done correct. But is it done in which mode?
No, it is done in Sattva only. It is not that. See, who told you that done in Sattva means that means to give a poor man is not a Sattva gun? No, it's not like that. Tamogun ka characteristic diya hai Bhagwan ne. Tamogun means like you're giving grudgingly and those things, correct? It came in Tamogun, Rajogun.
Yeah, yeah.
This is also done in Sattvagun only. It is not that just because that patra is a poor tribal girl and you're giving, that doesn't make your dan tamoguna. No. See, tamogun, rajogun is your consciousness. If you give thinking that, okay, I have given so much Mangal Sutra, now I'm going to get heaven in my next life and I will enjoy the dance of Urvashi, Ramba, Tilottama, then it becomes rajogun. The mood of the giver, that decides. Are you getting it? Three
Got it,
people can
Prabhuji.
give the same dan. It may be Brahman also. One person, three people give the same Brahman dan. One can be in Tamogun. One give very grudgingly. Take, get lost. One may be in Rajogun. I will give you, but put my name outside your Gurukul. Write that I gave, this person gave 10 lakh rupees and because of him only this Gurukul is running. Whoever comes should read that and understand that because of me only your Gurukul is running. Please put the board outside. It becomes Rajogun because you are accepting something from him. You want honor to him. But someone gives the dana and says that you're doing a good job. You run your Gurukul nicely. Take this money. You need not even tell anybody that I have given. If that is the consciousness, and I don't want anything, not that I'm giving thinking that next life I will watch the dance of Urvashi and Ramba because of this, then it is Sattvagun. So it's not the giver, Prabhuji. It is. It's not about the recipient of the dana. It is about the consciousness of the giver that makes it Sattva Rajatam.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
very
Prabhuji,
clear.
got it.
Very, very clear. There's no ambiguity in it.
No, Prabhuji, in our earlier days of ISKCON, that was the sometimes mentioned, that.
I know. See, sometimes what has happened, see, that's why there is refining of Shastra. It's not that earlier day we studied something that is only sacrosanct and I mean, no, you have to look at Shastra. The verses of the Gita are clear like the sun. You have to look at the verses. Forget all commentary. Just read the verse itself. You understand what Krishna is saying. How can you say that dana is not given to other category people? It is the right patra. That's all. Obviously, right? If somebody is boozing and you give him dan, that's not right patra. He wants to booze. You're giving him dan, then that is not the correct patra. Are you getting it?
Yeah. No, Prabhuji, see, earlier there used to be so much of logic given, that don't give money to beggars because they may use it for a wrong purpose.
So that you may have to find out. See, many times that is correct also, I'll tell you. Many beggars, they're professional beggars. There was a report recently, if you know, Pakistani beggars, they are, it seems, very rich beggars. There are many beggars who are, for a report I read recently, how much of wealth they have by begging. I mean, such people should not give. They are not the patra for dan. You have to genuinely find out who needs the wealth and give him. Anybody you cannot give just because he's on the street with a baby on the signal. You can't give him money. You don't know what he is. You should know
Right.
about the recipient na, before giving.
Yeah, understood.
So those parts are also correct. But that doesn't
Mm.
mean that you become such a cruel-hearted fellow that genuinely somebody is there and you don't give. No, then that's not correct.
Right. Right.
Philanthropy, na, see, it's a very broad thing. It is part of life for a grahastha. You cannot say that you will not do only philanthropy. ऐसा नहीं होता.
True.
See, sometimes what has happened that Mana Seva, Madhav Seva kind of topics, right, we have discussed. You understand what I'm saying? So that has made
Yeah.
things, unnecessarily too black and white. But actually, it's quite gray. It's not.
Yeah, exactly. I think the
Not
balance is the key
take it like
in
that.
most of the areas. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Yes, Mataji, you had a question. Ujjwal Radhe Mataji, your hand is up. Hare Krishna. Okay. Vaibhavanand Prabhu, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Proji. So many times we observe that a lot of things we are doing new, being in an organization. For example, offering a lot of new things to Lord. So does that also comes into tamoguna, which are not part of Shastra, and
No, one second.
we
Can
are part of the
example?
things. For example, pizza, burger, we offer to the Lord, So do you think it is all because it is not there anywhere in the Shastra?
No, see, in
So
traditional temples, they will not offer. Prabhuji,
Hmm.
no traditional temple in India. You go anywhere, huh? I'm not
Hmm.
talking only about some South India, Tirupati, or of course, Tirupati, I don't want to say because whatever happened recently.
Hmm.
Srirangam. And by the way, that Tirupati Laddu is not offered to Balaji. Huh? If you know the detail, Balaji
Correct.
offering ke liye, that comes from the ghee of the Goshala, which is maintained.
Correct.
These are given to the masses just like that. That's not offered. Okay, that's another point for another day.
So that is not even offered also.
No, that's not. I came to know that recently. It's like, मतलब एक लड्डू बना के बनाते रहेंगे अच्छी तरह से, but masses, come on, you don't. How much laddu they distribute? You think they are going to get that also in the altar? No question.
No, not even one is offered to Lord.
They say clearly. They made that point yesterday. I was reading that whatever is offered to the deity, the ghee comes from the local Goshala only, which they maintain. When they want purity, na, how can they offer anything to the deity?
Hmm.
But then, as Mahaprasad, they just give. I mean, now how much? Come on, Tirupati.
So it is not even Mahaprasad also.
I mean, that you leave it. I mean, let's not go into that too much. That way, Prabhuji, in our temples also, what is offered, that's not Mahaprasad. They just cook and they offer in a DT kitchen. They will have one photo, Prabhupada. They will offer there and they will distribute. What do you think? Everything in temple we distribute, right? In any festival, nothing is offered to the.
At least something is offered to pics or photos, whatever.
Only pic or photo it is offered. We call it Mahaprasad only, na? We don't distinguish. It's actually not technically offered to Radha Chandra.
Correct.
It's not. Only a Brahman and initiated can cook for the Lord. Right? Here any cook, I mean, you are getting people, you want to feed 5,000 people. That item, not even one morsel of that item is offered to the deity. Come on. The same thing everywhere. I mean, that's a different thing. But then going back to your question, in traditional temples, na Prabhuji, whether it is Jagannath Puri, whether it is Nathdwara, I made a study of this. Nowhere they will offer any of these things, pizza, pasta, and forget it. Because they say this is Ashastra. This is not coming under the Shastra. They are very clear.
And what about the regional differences? For example, I see that some temples in Brindavan, they offer Loki. Yes. And in Jagannath Puri and even in Nathdwara, Loki is considered to be tamasic.
No, Lauki is tamasic only. Lauki is tamasic. That's why they are not offered. Right? Prabhuji, if you see carefully, now even the Vrindavan temples, now Prabhuji, they are more newer. I mean, you go into Prabhuji, they are Jagannath Puri, you cannot compare. Jagannath Puri, Udupi, all these places, now they are much more ancient. They are all newer only now. In the last 300 years only they have come. I mean, the most of the prominent ones even that we know.
Yeah. So, my concern is what is the impact? And
now, it depends on how you are, where you are, what else you are doing. If somebody is eating in a hotel and 5-star hotel and all that, then come on, don't make such a big fuss of Loki and all that, right? See, it depends who you are and what else you're doing. If your life is like that, then that's a different thing. Like today I met this Brahmin, right? Our Chakrapani Krishna Prabhu's friend.
Yeah.
Swapaki. We
So
went to
powerful.
the temple, there was Sakra Pongal, everything offered to the deity. He didn't take it. He said that he only what he cooks, his wife cooks, his mother cooks, or somebody who follows his standard. And he said, if I don't know, he said, temple, it's nice only. He said, but I don't know what standard these people follow in their personal life. So I said, I can't eat their food. Young 40-year-old software engineer, right? So saying that, see, then such a person can say his standards. So before we bring Lauki and other things into equation, we have to also understand, what else are we doing? How else is our lifestyle? Then
Correct.
it makes no sense. Yeah, makes sense? Very well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, 1 second. I think Ujjwal Radhe Mataji had a question. Okay. I've asked you to unmute. I think you should be able to unmute yourself. Okay. Okay, austerity of speech. You have told about one of the versions of Ramachandra as austerity of speech can mean keep secrets. How can we inspire this habit in children? Children face difficulty in friendship because of the inability to keep secrets. Another dimension for children may not have the discrimination what secrets are to be kept, what are disclosed to parents. Yeah, good question. So obviously, I was talking mainly from adult perspective because as far as adults are concerned, we know many serious issues in people's lives, right? Like somebody may tell us some confidential thing about their life. See, generally, children, we should not even expose them to such things. I mean, I would go one step back and tell them that a child, you cannot tell a child something which is too controversial or, kind of too much to handle. The child cannot handle it. You can't blame the child saying that, hey, you should keep it secret. Some things maybe slowly they should be told. Like, for example, sometimes, like a family, I'm just giving a simple example. Sometimes in a family, husband and wife, we may talk about some, like our parents, we may talk at home, husband and wife. And sometimes our children also hear it, right? So the children, over a period of time, should have the maturity to understand, okay, my father and mother, they are sharing their own challenges in dealing with their parents. Not that whatever they said, I should go and tell the grandfather that, hey, look, right, your son and daughter-in-law are talking like this about you. So the child needs to understand that. But again, we should also know that children at a particular age may not be able to do it, though they may exactly go and tell it. So with age, they may get the maturity. My own understanding is that only when they are 14 plus 15, like that, then they can be treated like that. They can be expected to be like an adult. But when they're very small, especially when they're below 12, 13, 10, 9, and all that, they should better not be exposed to anything that involves keeping it a secret. They will not be able to, and that's not their mistake. So I think we should understand that and expose them only to that much. I hope that answers it. Okay, Shamlila Prabhu, you had a question. Your hand is raised. Last one.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Now this Tirupati thing which has come out, actually this is not something new because all the ghees which you see in the market, Gokul ghee and Patanjali and all this, so they are already adulterated ghees.
Yes, very much.
1.5 years back, we got tested the Patanjali ghee. One of the friends who runs Goshala in Meerut, I asked him to test different kinds of ghees. So he found all the things, usage of palm oil, then the lard from the cow and all those things.
Correct.
And I asked in the temple, we use Patanjali ghee for the halwa for our kitchen. And we distribute in masses, and there is so tasty halwa, and they do it for the food for life also. And this is what is being regularly used, and it is procured at a very big level, kilos and kilos of that. So now the thing is that even I was thinking about that if we can replace it, and but then the cost will be something higher, which I was thinking that maybe we can pay some part, and then some part, whatever the temple is paying, and we can pay on the top of that, so that we can actually do that. But it couldn't materialize, so I was I mean, this thing which has come out for the Tirupati, people have been consuming these things for years. This
Perfect.
is new. So in such kind of situations, now see, this has come out. We have just returned from Tirupati Yatra with 40 devotees. And everybody is saying, oh, we got so many laddus. And, some brahmacharis also got like 4 or 5 laddus, and they are all, whether we should take it or not. Now, this is the Mahaprasad laddu which we have got from Tirupati. So it has become a big thing, So now I don't know how we should handle this. What should I tell the devotees also about this? And in future, will how to act in the future, what should I give the message to the devotees, how they should be careful, because everybody will have different standards. And in fact, even if we see that people who are aware also, devotees, they don't have money to actually afford a ghee which is more than 1,000 rupees or 1,200 rupees kg. Even when we go to Mayapur, we see, they are selling sometimes 500, 600 rupees kg ghee. And they say, it is a cow's ghee. And I often wonder, because I have done all these calculations from last 3-4 years, how much fat. And, even if we put the fat machine, because we have milk business in Ujjain. So I know what my mama is doing and how he is doing the things. And I have done all the whole calculations and everything, which is not like realistically, it is not possible to get it cheap. Even for the buffalo ghee also, we have done the calculations. So now we know the truth. How do we present it to the devotees so that we can handle this?
Yeah,
all
sure.
this?
I'll just say two things. First thing we should tell people is don't get distracted by the headline of Tirupati Laddu. That's not the point. The point is
Okay.
almost everything is adulterated in the market. Just like that Tirupati fellow, they tested it, Chandrababu Naidu. That's why we know about it. Other things are not even tested. Number one. Okay. Second thing, Prabhuji, this is also very important, is that this is related to what you were saying. Prabhuji, these days now, Prabhuji, we eat everything every time. Like I will tell you, in traditional India now, sweets and all were made very limited. On some very big festival like Diwali, something is made. Some Janmashtami, something is made. These days, Prabhuji, everybody wants paneer, sweet rice on any day. It was never like that in traditional India. Traditional India, I'm not even going 500, 600 years back. Even if you talk to our parent, grandparent generation, they will also say, no, resources were always limited because pure resources are always limited in this world.
Okay.
Just about money, Prabhuji. It's not just about money. It's just not available. So people wouldn't, you agree with me, na? If you talk to your grandparents, they wouldn't make, see, Prabhuji, nowadays, like we eat paneer and all like anything, right? Like
Yes.
I'm talking from a temple community perspective like that. Every festival we will have paneer, anything. No, was it like that always? No, it wasn't.
No. Yes.
People would eat very limited, expensive items. Expensive items were premium. It's not only premium just because it costs a lot. It is also premium because that pure ingredient is rare. But today it's not like that. We all want to stuff ourselves anytime, anything. So this mindset has to change in people. See, this whole mindset, it's not just about the affordability. See, you were saying that some people cannot afford. Agreed. But even that fellow who cannot afford on Diwali, on some very special occasion, he may be able to afford. And that like that only people lived in India. Everybody lived like that only. And that is a healthy way to live also. But in modern times, what has happened is we think anytime we should eat anything. Then you will get such ingredients only in the market. Actually, Shwetati Prabhu has done a lot of calculation in this, which is what you said. The number of cattle in India. Now we are not talking only Deshi cow, Jersey, buffalo, everything put together. How much are there? How many of them give milk actually? It is very small number. But Prabhuji, in the market today, we get so much things. Even Prabhuji, I'll tell you one thing, even Abhishek for the deities and all, I did some study in this. I mean, I don't want to sound critical, but sometimes in our temples also, so much we pour, like milk, ghee, everything we just keep pouring. See, it's not just about whether we have money. See, first of all, the purity of the ingredient is not there. You can't get like this premium, desi ghee or, ghee, kilos and kilos to pour on the Lord also. And these things were also done very limited only. in traditional. I try to find that out. It is not very less because purity in ingredient itself is a rare thing. It's not just about that I have money. It's a very rare thing. So things were less. But today's world, what has happened? Probably nobody is happy like that. That is the whole problem. Everybody wants anything anywhere. I don't think. See, that's why I'm saying Tirupati Laddu. That headline itself is wrong. That's not the real problem. The real problem is everything is adulterated and we want everything every time. Right? And overuse things. Atyahar jo bolte hai na, we are overusing everything, whether it is temple, whether it is restaurant, whether it is home also. We want to just live too luxuriously. And like that, you will not get pure ingredients. So one has to understand that. One has to scale down also one's activities, everything. I mean, there's no, even this Tirupati people, okay, they may stop those suppliers, but whoever else they get also from, how will they get? No? How will they? I mean, some other thing will be there. It may not have all these animal things. Maybe dalda is mixed in it.
Yeah.
But that is also adulteration only, right? It's
Correct.
not, how can you get pure ghee? I mean, I was reading yesterday in the report, they were saying that this Tirupati, this Jagan government, they had given contract to someone who was giving ghee at 320 rupee kilo. Authentic, huh? That is a government record. 320 rupees kilo ghee, Prabhuji. From where can you get like that ghee? In Tamil Nadu, somebody was selling it to this Tirupati temple. 320 rupee kilo. So by default, it is adulterated. I mean, there is no rocket science in it.
Correct. So basically, we have to educate the devotees that we have to live simply and we should not expect.
Scale down everything. Not that you are eating paneer and ghee every day. These are very, very limited things. People would, I mean, simple things. Just go back to your grandparents' era and find out how people lived. ऐसे थोड़ी कोई भी कभी भी कुछ भी खा रहा था.
Yes, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, if you just inquire about this, just one question I had is that we were in Srinivas Mangapur in Tirupati, where the Lord Balaji married. And there we were seeing the whole Abhishek. And then we were expecting that they will give the remnants, like the Charnamrit. But they just discarded it. They said, no, you can't get it. We don't give it to anyone. So is there any reason for this, or we have just developed some expectations that every time we should get Charnamrit of the Lord's bathing, and there are places where it is done every day, the Kalyanam is done every day, and there so I just wanted to know the history of this, like how it is in South India. What
people, they don't give that, Prabhuji. Like, I mean, even if it is given, it's just a drop. Otherwise, it's just not given. Because many times, na Prabhuji, those things are not even for human. Like, I mean, I'm again sorry to say, but sometimes, like in our temples, also after fasting, to drink a glass of kacha milk mixed with honey and any combination, it is not even healthy, na. I mean, see, deity can take anything that you will shake or not, but human being, to give him one glass of charnamrit, it's like, right? It's after fasting, that also to drink like that, one should not actually.
Okay.
We have to search more in it, how much people would actually drink these things. We are assuming that sometimes, we drink 1 liter. I remember my own foolishness in 97, 99, when I was there at temple, after Janmashtami, this one Bisleri bottle Charnamrit I would drink.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It is a killer actually. And then what? It's like anything. Kacha doodh it is most of the time, right? And honey and watermelon and anything is added in that.
Correct.
Okay, for the Lord, you may say, okay, that also actually has to be very limited. In traditional temples, they do very less of it. Like we pour like literally buckets and buckets, just so that devotees are happy to see everything. Traditional temple, see, because these pure ingredients you don't get. See, that's the point.
Okay.
How will you get like 50 liter of milk and 20 kilo of ghee to do abhishek? From where will it come? Where are the cows for that? Where? I mean, we are not living in Nanda Maharaj's Vrindavan where he had 9 lakh cows.
Correct.
No cow only.
Yes.
That's the beauty of our city culture. Without cows, we are getting milk, ghee, butter, everything. Hare Krishna. Chila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta ki jai.